Hey guys, welcome back. In the last session, we have seen examples on the primitives. Now, in this session, we will be seeing an example on filtering the custom objects. Okay, I have taken a use case actually. The use case is like bank wants to identify the transactions that are above certain threshold. The value is the 1 lakh is the value. They want to identify the transactions which are like either it can be a debit, it can be a credit. They wants to monitor the transactions over the 1 lakh actually. So for this use case, we will be writing the two classes. One is the business class, which is the transaction. One is the business class, which is the transaction. The transaction will be this business class will be having the properties like transaction ID and amount, transaction type, and the account number. So these are the some of the properties we will be taking into the transaction class. Okay, so this is the business class. Now we will be taking the main class. We will be writing our main class, which will be calling this transaction. Which will be calling this transaction, and which will be like in which we will be setting the values of this transaction, and we will be filtering the transactions, okay, using a stream. Okay, so we have a transaction filter, client application. So these are the two classes we will be writing it. So you can take transaction filter client also, high amount transaction filter also you can take it. Okay, so now let's go and create the transaction class first. Okay. Yep. I'm in my IntelliJ. Let me create a class called Java. Now I'll be giving the class name as a transaction. I'll be giving the class name as transaction. The transaction will be having the transaction ID, private int transaction ID, right? And we have the amount, double transaction or amount. Okay, so we have the transaction type, okay, and the account number, long account number. Okay, so these are the attributes we have. So the transaction will be having transaction ID, amount type, and the constructor. Now what I'll do is I'll be creating a constructor over here. So I have created the constructor. So now I'll be generating the setters and getters for this one. Now right click on this IDE, generate getters and setters. Okay, so as of now we will be generating both actually. It's needed only if you want to generate only getters, you can generate getters only. Okay, so now that's fine. So now if you want to generate a toString also, you can generate toString, no problem. Okay, otherwise you can write something like this. Right click on this one, generate. Here you have a toString. So you'll be generating a toString using these attributes. Okay, just click on OK. So you'll be generating the toString with the transactions ID, amount, type, and the account number. Okay, now you have a transaction class. Now you need to create the high value transaction filter. Here we have already created the high value transaction filter. So here I have written a comment over here. You can check here. So bank wants to identify the transactions that are above certain threshold value like 1 lakh. So now what I'll do is I'll be creating an object of a list. Okay, first I'll be creating a list. I'll be storing the number of transactions over in a list. Okay, so this will be taking the transaction. So I'll say transactions equals to new linked list. And so now here we have a transactions dot add new transaction. Transactions dot add new transaction. So we have added the new transaction. We will be adding multiple transactions, something like this. Okay, to 1,50,000. Now again, transactions dot add. I'll be adding the 2 lakhs. I'll be adding a lower amount now. Okay, so I have added lower amount. So these many transactions I have. Now what I want to do is so I have a transactions like 50,000, 1,50,000, 2 lakh, and 75,000. These are the different types of transaction. The type of transaction is credit, debit, and credit debit. So first transaction they have done is credit. Okay, that is 50,000. The second transaction they have is debit. Okay, and third transaction they have did as a credit, and fourth transaction it is debit also. Now what I want to do is I want to filter, I want to stream through these transactions one by one, and I want to check whether the transaction amount, whether the amount is greater than 1 lakh or not. So if amount is greater than 1 lakh, I'll be taking it to separate stream. I'll be taking it to separate stream, or I'll be taking it to the separate collection, and I'll be printing that collection. The transactions which are over 1 lakh, I'll be printing them into separate, I'll be taking them into separate collection. I'll be printing it. Okay. So now let's see how we can do that. Transactions dot stream through the transaction. I'll be filtering the transaction. So I have given the predicate. Now the predicate will be taking an argument of type T. So which is a transaction object it will be taking. Now I'll be saying transaction, lambda expression, transaction dot get amount. So we have a get amount, and if the amount is greater than 1 lakh, so what you have to do is you have to collect the data into the list, separate list. Okay, so now this will be returning a list of transactions. This will be returning a list of transactions. Let's say filtered transactions or resultant transactions. You can say resultant transactions. Resultant transactions. Now, SOUT resultant transactions. Here we'll say high value transactions are the resultant transactions. Okay. So now what I'll do is I'll be right clicking on this application, and I'll be running as a Java application now. So before that, what I have created the one business class where I'll be having the transaction ID, transaction ID, amount, and the type, and the account number. So these are the different attributes I have actually. Now for these I have generated the constructor, I have generated setters and getters, and toString as well. So I have created the high value transaction filter where I'll be creating a list, and I'll be adding the list of transactions. Okay, and I'm streaming through the transactions and filtering the transaction one by one. If the transaction amount is greater than 1 lakh, so I'll be collecting them into a list, and I'll be displaying the list of high value transactions. Okay, let's go and right click and run as a Java application. So now you can see after running this application, you can see the high value transactions are 1,50,000, 2 lakh. So these are the transaction ID. Transaction ID is 2 is 1,50,000, type is debit, and the account number is this one, and the transaction 3 is 2 lakh, and the type is credit, and the account number is this. Okay. So this is how you can filter the number of transactions. Hope you understood this session. Hope you understood this one. If you have any doubts, you can comment your doubts in the comment section. I'll be happy to help you. Until then, thank you for watching.